What if you could change everything? We live in a fallen world, and it's a messed up place, after all. There's war and hunger and crimes and the despicable nature of those who are far from God. But if you were given the chance to fix what's broken in the world, would you do it? When I created the Ever for my online graphic novel, these questions, their morality, and the potential effects of world-changing decision-making is what drove this fantasy narrative exploration. In this video, I want to walk you through exactly how I built the Ever, a completely original fantasy concept, or as original as a fantasy concept can be, from scratch, and give you the tools to do the same in your own creative works. BT Dubs, hello! My name is Tiara, and on this channel I share the stars and struggles of making The Lost Land Sage, my online graphic novel, while giving advice and motivation to other creatives as they take on their own big projects. Welcome, or welcome back. The Ever is a large narrative element within The Lost Land Sage. As we move into Chapter 5 of the story in 2026, the Ever will become an even more prominent feature. I thought that it was only appropriate to finally sit down and organize all the ideas that have driven this aspect of Wisteria's story. The ideas that have shaped the way she, as the main protagonist, experiences her world. It wasn't until I began truly building the Ever, with developing its rules and structure and consequences, that I realized the magnitude of what it means to create a fantasy concept that is entirely new and original. However, the Ever is more than just a narrative element in my story. It's also a bit of a thought experiment rooted in the first question that I posed. If you could change the world as you deem fit, would you do it? Exploring this question became essential, not only for the broader themes of the story, but also for understanding the crux of Amelie's character, the main antagonist. The Ever became a unique space where the question could be explored, examined, exploited, and exposed for everything it could represent. Whether philosophically, morally, ethically, or emotionally. So yes, creating the Ever as a solid, believable concept was very, very important. As is the case with any original fictional concept that comes into existence. I believe these kinds of ideas matter deeply because every concept reveals something about its creator. You can see how a person understands the world, how that understanding forms into an idea, and how that idea returns to the world through the act of creation. Or, in simpler terms, the way someone builds a concept shows the way they see the world. In building the Ever, I learned what it truly means to create something from nothing, to shape a world that reflects the way I see life and all of its complexities. And for anyone watching who wants to do the same, that is, to create a concept that expresses how you see the world, I made this video for you. By the end, my hope is that you understand how to begin that process and also feel ready and motivated to bring your own ideas into reality. So, now you have a big, shiny, new idea, the spark of life when it comes to creation. But where does one go from here? I think this next step after conception is reflection. Ask yourself, what is the core question or theme at the heart of this concept? To clarify, not the question the concept explores, the question that gave the concept life in the first place. So for me, and for the ever, that question is, when does the hunger to know more start to destroy the moments that make life worth living at all? And that question didn't come out of nowhere. I've always been curious by nature. I know. It's a huge shocker, especially considering Wisteria's character. Said no one in the audience, but I am constantly asking questions and always wanting to understand the why behind everything. Basically, I'm that kid who never stopped asking why, except now I'm a nearly 30-year-old adult. But that same curiosity became something dangerous later in my life. Before my diagnosis with a schizophrenic spectrum disorder, to keep it light, and during a period when I experimented with, I don't know how else to say this, so psychedelic drugs, which is not a good combination and not something I recommend, I kept diving deeper and deeper into my mind, and further away from the moments of life right in front of me. For better or for worse, that is where the ever was born. And that is where its why was born too. It's also where the phrase I carry throughout LLS came from. Stay curious and suffer the consequences. Understanding the why behind any creative idea is essential to maintaining both the integrity of your project and the intention behind your work. There's a saying among writers that if an author isn't intentional about their story's central message, readers will create their own interpretations from what's available. Everyone's why is personal. But if you don't establish yours early, you risk leaving that space open for others, possibly even those with bad faith or nefarious intent. I'm sure you've heard of hate readers, to define your why for you. That's why this reflection must always be the next step. So, your heart has been laid on the table and inspected for why it beats, but feel free to put it back in your chest because now it is time to think creatively, or rather, metaphysically in my case. The next step is to define the essence of your creation. I have gotten a few comments asking, what even is the ever? It seems like a cool idea, but I don't know what it is. The name alone doesn't really help people in that way either. After answering that question in a few different ways, it felt right to give a concrete answer consistently. So I asked myself, in the most literal sense, what is the ever? I wrote down every single idea or thread that popped into my head in one very long, very grammatically abhorrent run-on sentence, and then pulled out the core fundamentals that did not contradict each other. From that, I crafted this simplified explanation. The ever is a soul-woven dream realm outside of time, where every possible timeline unfolds. I have to say that slowly because it's a bit of a tongue twister, especially with my braces. The ever was created by an entity from the beyond and once guarded by the Council of Sages. Now, It lies unprotected, tempting witches with glimpses of fate at the hidden risk of losing themselves. Okay, now I feel like we're getting somewhere with this idea and its growing legs. So next, I explored how this metaphysical concept fits into the actual reality of my story's world. In the world of the Lost Land Sage, the world of Tourmaline, most witches and wizards, or wise folk, believe the Ever is the afterlife, a kind of peaceful ending. That misunderstanding actually started centuries ago when an ancient sage described it as a hub of souls and life itself. Somewhere along the way, people decided that that meant a place you go when you die, instead of what it actually is, a space where living timelines unfold all at once. Over time, that idea baked itself into this world's culture. Wise folk are buried beneath arrow-shaped tombstones that point to the sky, meant to guide their souls to the stars, which many believe shine through from the Ever itself. Common blessings like "Beyond to be with you" and "May the stars lead you home" show how deeply this belief has soaked into these wise folks' daily life. But, of course, there are cracks in that story because it's not true. Dying witches sometimes swear that they have woken up healthy in a new timeline. Others remember lives that they technically have never lived. And scattered across Tourmaline are strange little misremembrances, or shared moments, or facts that don't line up with recorded history. Now, the different covens respond to these contradictions and the lore of the Ever in very different ways. So, the Greenery Coven, where the story starts, generally laughs it off as folklore and bedtime stories for children. The Golden Coven, however, treats the Ever as holy doctrine, and weird phenomenon become conspiracy, while worshipping the entity beyond and following Amelie as their last living religious leader is their norm. So across Tourmaline, the Ever has become both comfortable and controversial. Half religion, half mystery, but no matter what, it is completely misunderstood. So once I had all of that down, the next step was to create a one-sentence elevator pitch to answer that question, what is the Ever? Because I'm pretty sure there's a character limit on YouTube comments. So, my sentence answer is, the Ever is a soul-woven realm outside of time where every possible life unfolds, misunderstood by wise folk as the afterlife. Being able to state a complex concept in one sentence makes it clear and accessible for readers and confirms for you that you truly understand this idea with legs. In this case, going deeper first, revealing the growing parts, and then working backwards to a simple summation is this potion's recipe. So here is the short list of questions I propose asking yourself at this stage. What, quite literally, is my idea? How does this idea fit into my crafted world? How would I explain this to someone new to my world? And how would I explain it in one sentence? The bonus question is, what makes this world not like other girls? So what makes it unique or special or magical or profound? The little bit of spice to add to your sentence sauce. For the Ever, It stands apart because it nods to string theory while leading into miracle and magic more than science. But a concept so grand without rules or guidelines can quickly, very quickly, turn into chaos. Understanding that an idea with legs left to run wild could really mess up my plans here, I set out to create boundaries for my creation. So that meant asking myself the questions: how does the ever work? What are the limits? How does one of the folk even get there? Well, we could start with that. Entry to the ever is not simple in the slightest. It's supposed to actually take years of rigorous training. Training that includes quieting the mind, fasting, and learning how to guard the body while the spirit wanders within this realm. Most of the folk, later deemed sages, who can enter, do so through deep focus and consistent discipline. But, and yes, there is a big but, for oracle sages, this is a little bit different. These wise folk cross astrally, and they give up the safety of shifting timelines for a single fixed fate. So there are no natural gateways into the ever. There are no hidden portals you can stumble on, or no cracks in reality waiting to be found by some unsuspecting folk. The mind itself is the only key. And even then, crossing comes at a cost. I already talked about the Oracle Sage's cost, but also time in the ever flows in tangent with time in Tourmaline, which means the longer you're gone, the hungrier, weaker, and stiffer your physical body becomes. In ancient times, protective wards in sage temples kept travelers safe in the rigorous training as well. These wards that I brought up were maintained by the fivefold Council of Sages, which was made up of the Oracle, the Timekeep, the Ward Watcher, the Recorder, and the Traveler. But those protections decayed a very long time ago, after the eradication of sages. So today, the Ever is regulated by the Oracle Sage alone, chosen through the fire-touched line by the entity beyond, hiding from the one who intends to end their line for good. Oracle Sages, who are known only by their red hair. Unauthorized and unearned entry carries a terrible risk to the folk known as blind eye. And I'm not talking about the Society of the Blind Eye from Gravity Falls. This is a Project Sage art video. I had to bring up Gravity Falls. But back on track. Blind eye is a physical state where timelines bleed together until that specific wise folk is lost between worlds. Their eyes turn milky white, and they become blind to both the Ever and to Tourmaline. So now we've got the rules for entry, but entry isn't the only boundary that's worth defining. Once inside the Ever, there's another world of guidelines. There's no physical combat or interaction of any kind in the Ever because matter doesn't actually exist there. Every single aspect of the Ever is mentally constructed, shaped by the mind of those who came before. The more solid or real something appears, the more minds have reinforced its existence over centuries. Destroying or changing anything takes immense mental strength, and creating something new takes even more. You also can't bring much back from the Ever either, at least not in a traditional sense. Experiences, knowledge, and memories from your journey can return with you, but there's a cost here too, shocker. If anything from another timeline is expressed physically, that alternate existence collapses and merges with your current one. So basically, sages walk a fine line between understanding and ruin. It's why they're seen as either brilliantly wise or quietly insane. Navigation in the Ever is also learned through this knowledge that you gain there. So you have to remember the layers and places within the realm. If you forget them, you will be lost. But with enough exposure and experience, the Ever itself becomes easier to traverse. And yes, even magic fails here. So does technology, and so do objects. Basically, the Ever strips you bare. Communication across realms can also happen, and it happens through omens, dreams, and intuitive impressions. As for how long a witch can stay in the Ever, that's measured more by the body than a set amount of time or a clock. A safe session lasts only as long as one can fast or go without sleep. Anything over 24 hours is considered dangerous, but even 12 hours is pushing it for an inexperienced sage. As you can see, unlike those with the blind eye, heyo, rules were absolutely necessary. Without them, a concept this big would swallow the whole story. I've long believed that limitations in any project help you to be more creative as opposed to hindering you. Rules create tension, opportunities for conflict, and chances for higher stakes. Solutions to story beats shouldn't appear out of nowhere. They should not be deus ex machinas. I can't even say that right, but they should be earned within a world where rules hold firm. This builds on an idea I actually mentioned in a previous video about magic systems. Reiterating the point I made there, I still don't believe a magic system should ever be a hard magic system. I think that entire concept itself is inherently contradictory, because I think it turns the wonder that is magic into science, which is not magic. But the world that holds that magic is where I believe the structure should live. That's where the hardness belongs. It belongs in the world, not in the magic. I think that's what keeps a story grounded without stripping away its mystique. And so that is what I recommend you think about next. The rules. Here are a few questions to help you on that journey. What can and can't someone do inside of your concept's world or system? What is the cost or consequence of interacting with it? What fails when someone breaks a rule? How and why? How do people navigate the concept and measure safety within it? And finally, what's the one rule that absolutely cannot be broken without changing everything? Because even the wildest worlds still need boundaries. It's what keeps the story, no matter how magical, believable. Those are just the first 3 steps when it comes to building a fantasy world from scratch. Honestly, I'm looking at my script, it's 11 pages long, and I'm a little scared of how long this video already is, both for my ability to talk this much and to edit it all within the 48 hours I have to get it done and scheduled. So I'm actually going to end this video here. I do still have 6 more steps under my belt when it comes to crafting a fantasy concept from the ground up. If you've gotten value from this video and want to hear the rest of those steps, I guess I'll call it, being the other 6 of the 9 steps, then let me know by liking this video, leaving a comment, and subscribing with those notifications turned on so you know when the requested video is published. I need to know that people actually want this kind of content before I put in the dedicated time to research and condense those researched ideas into simplified terms and then turn those ideas and terms into these words that I'm speaking. What I'm trying to say is it's a lot of work. But if you ever need a reminder of why you're doing all of your creative work of building worlds and crafting entire concepts from scratch, then remember this. This is what it would look like if you could change the world. And if you can fix it, even in this small, fantastical way, then why wouldn't you? To read more about how I'd change the world, be sure to read my online graphic novel, The Lost Land Sage, on Comic Fury and WEBTOON, both linked down in the description. I post 2 new pages every other Sunday, so next week 2 new pages will be available for you to read at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I've already went through the like and comment and subscribe and notification shebang, so I won't do that again, but I will let you know that I also have a Ko-Fi linked in the description where you can join a membership starting at $1, where you can join the Discord, get monthly digital downloads, early page releases, full drawing time lapses, and more. And as a reminder, the Volume 1 comic dub, I'm losing my words, I've been talking too much. As a reminder, the Volume 1 comic dub comes out December 1st, and it does feature really awesome, cool, amazing streamers and voice actors as the main cast. Now, thank goodness. This is all I have to say, except for still one more thing. Stay curious and suffer the consequences. I will see you guys next time. Okay, bye.